Richard Miller is the founder of genealogy research software Goldie May. He previously worked as a software engineer and executive at three genealogy companies, but during that time, he wasn't doing his own genealogy, and that has changed, and he's building Goldie May for his own research and for yours. So I will go ahead and hand it over to him.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate. Thank you all for being here today. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to speak with you about Goldie May. And as Kate said, I did work at three genealogy companies as a software developer, not doing much of my own research at all. So as that changed, I wanted Goldie May to sort of scratch the itch that I was feeling. And one of those itches was that I had a lot of paper on my desk. And so as I was working on my family tree, on family search, or doing research, I was scribbling down notes. I had notebooks where I was writing out how records connected to each other. I had sticky notes on monitors, and it just ended up being unorganized, and I wanted to do something to help with that. So Goldie May is built around the premise of helping you with the research you already have, the tree you already have, the genealogy websites you already have. So it does not replace a desktop genealogy program or the various sites you're using to search. Instead, it might replace your spreadsheet or your Word document or your sticky notes on your monitor, etc. So I'll do a live demo of Goldie May today and look forward to your questions afterwards as well. And I hope that Goldie May can help you stay organized in your research. And also, in addition to staying organized, there are two other kind of categories of features that I'll show you today, which are to help you analyze and understand the research you're finding. And last of all, navigating around the various websites more quickly so that you can take advantage of your time and do more genealogy in less time. So I'll hit share and we can jump right in. Okay, all right, I'm in, let's go to Google Chrome and we're gonna go to goldiemay.com. This is where you would go to sign up for Goldie May. You can use it for free and it also has paid features as well. And if you come here, it will say install on Chrome. And so to load Goldie May, you're gonna install it as a Chrome extension. And so you'll come into the Chrome Web Store, and if you've used the Chrome or other browser extension before, you'll know that the Chrome Web Store has many of them. It will say add to Chrome instead of remove, since I've already added it to my browser. And then after you click add to Chrome, it's gonna put your browser extension up in this little menu that looks like a jigsaw puzzle piece. So there you'll find the Goldie May extension and you can hit pin, and this puts the little black G in your browser menu bar. And so clicking the black G is how you open up Goldie May. And Goldie May opens up off to the side of your main window. And so the idea here is that you're going to use Family Search or Ancestry or whatever other websites you use for research. And then Goldie May is off here to the side to help you and keep you organized. So I'm signed in. I'm signed in with a Family Search account. Goldie May does require a free Family Search account to use this. But afterwards, you don't need to use any of the Family Search features if you don't want to. And I'll show you how it integrates and you can decide. All right, so I'm gonna go into the projects area and choose a new project. And this is a place where you can write an objective for your research. And the idea here is that the objective is gonna help you stay organized and focused in your research. So I might say that I'm looking for the parents of Leonard Wilson. And then one of the premium features of Goldie May is this little search bar that will pull up various things that will let you search across Goldie May projects and different catalogs. But one thing I like it is is the ancestor search. So I'm going to bring up Leonard Wilson in Family Search, and then I'm going to grab his ID from Family Search and pull that over here into my project, and I'll say add person. So if I were using Ancestry instead and not Family Search, then I could type various names into this project. So maybe I would want to add his wife's name or other family members, various fan club members, and I could type those here. But an alternative is to use the Family Search ID, and that will pull in his name and his picture as well. So I want to show you a couple of options here. I've opened up the little arrow next to his name, and it shows his birth and death date and place, and the names of his children, spouse, parents. And one of the features here is that each of these place segments is a link. So if I click on York County, Ontario, Canada, it's going to offer to open up the York County wiki page on Family Search. And so if I'm unfamiliar with that particular county, this is a great way to learn about that county and what records might be available there. If you've used the wiki before, you know it's a great resource for place research. And so this will allow you to quickly jump there. And that's true at all these segment levels. So if I go to Canada and I'm unfamiliar with what resources are available for Canada, I can click on Canada and Ancestry Card Catalog, and it will search the card catalog for Canada. So these are all the Canada related records on Ancestry and so on. So I can do that on MyHeritage, Find My Past, and others. So this allows me to quickly get oriented to a new place where I may have not researched before and really focus my research. So I wanted to show you that. And then at the bottom here, there's also this task list. So I can, of course, type tasks here into the bar and order them however I want and mark them done, etc. But where this gets more interesting is where if you use the features to pull a page into the task. So let me show you that. You're gonna, let's say we're looking for the parents of Leonard Wilson, right? That's our objective, and we're gonna stay focused on that. If I think there might be a record in Madison County for his death, I might want to pull up the Family Search Catalog and go to Madison County, and then maybe I want to look at vital records. And this says there are death records from 1880 to 1935, and that overlaps with his death of 1921. So this is a really nice record potentially for me to search. If the death record mentions his parents, then I'll answer my question right away. So I can right click on this link and choose Goldie May and choose Add Task to Project from Link. And so this is going to drop that link down into my task list, the title, the URL. And instead of me typing in the title and the URL manually, I can just go through the catalog and just add anything that I think might help me answer my question. So Goldie May, let's see, whoops, Goldie May, and take a screenshot. And then just one by one, I can be adding, I said screenshot, but I meant to do task. Let me go back to this down here. Okay, so Goldie May and add task to project. Okay, there we go. So now we have the 2 tasks in my list. And this allows me to build up a research plan. So instead of just jumping into the first collection that I thought might be helpful, I can instead go through them systematically and say which collections might help answer my question, build that into my task list or my research plan. And then maybe I might even reorder these and say, okay, I think maybe maybe for some reason I think the marriage record will be better than the death record or whatever. I can reorder those. And then after I've created my plan, I'll jump into going through each one by one. I could click on the link, do the searching, and then mark that done if I find an answer or I don't find an answer. And that lets me be really methodical about answering my question and making sure I don't miss anything. Now I'm using Family Search here, but I don't need to. I could go to say search for Madison County, Iowa, and I want to look on Cindy's list. I could type that into Google and it's going to pull up Cindy's list. There's Iowa, Madison County. Maybe I want to look at this county for sure. I could just say add the page to my tasks. Maybe I want to dive into newspaper records, and maybe this Winterset Madisonian newspaper would be good. I could add that to my list. So I can just use any website on the internet to build up the task list of my searches for this genealogy objective I'm trying to meet. So that's how I use the task list. You can put notes here. If I go back to my project list, you'll see that I have several dozen projects. These could be the client work you're doing. These could be different family lines you're working on. But because this is stored in the cloud, all of your projects can travel with you wherever you go. So instead of needing to carry a thumb drive around to different libraries or archives, you can sign into Goldie May at wherever you are and see your project list and stay focused on your objective. And I can't speak for the Allen County Public Library. I've never been there in person, but generally when I've been to a library, it's been fine to install a browser extension in the library computer I'm using, sign in, use it, and then when I'm done, remove the browser extension from the browser before I go home. Generally, that's not treated as a full program installation where you need admin access or something. It's more of a user preference at the time you're there. So that's been great. And so if you go into a library and want to use the resources there, you can kind of keep track of it in your projects. And then it's when you go home, all of that is with you at home. So let me, on that same note of staying organized in your research, I want to show you a second feature of Goldie May, which is the research log. So I'll click on research log for this particular project. And now I can log a page that I found. Now let's go into this Winterset Madisonian. Looks like I'm gonna go back and let's do it. Well, let me log here. So let's say we want to log this page. We'll go ahead and click log page. This will copy over the title and URL. And this will let me treat it kind of like a social media post where I might want to say that I like or dislike this. You might treat this as a genealogist as a positive or negative result. So suppose you're going through, so let's say we're back on the catalog and we're going to look at some taxation records. And let me just filter this by online available records. Let's say we're going to look at taxation, and we'll open that in a new tab. And this is going to be film, right? So we're not going to be able to just necessarily put in a name and search. We're going to go into the film images for this collection. And because we have to browse through it, we don't want to lose our place, and we don't want to backtrack, and we don't want to repeat this search in the future. So I might want to log everywhere I go in this catalog. And I could, of course, hit log page, but I could also turn on automatic logging. And so instead of clicking log page now, just anywhere I go in this collection, it's going to keep a list of the URL. So I clicked forward, and watch over on the right, it pops up the next page, land records. It's got the title. It says page 7 of 602. And then it has the URL directly back to this page. So then as I just kind of go through here one by one, it will keep that log. And I could kind of jump forward. I see that I'm in the A's of this collection, so I might want to jump to the W's. And I don't know if it's, just a table of contents at the beginning, but say I suppose, okay, look, I'm in the D's there. So to get to the W's, maybe I want to jump to page 550. So you can see that how as I go through these pages one by one, I can just have the log work for me to keep track of where I'm going. And suppose I get to the W's where the Wilsons should be, and my guy isn't there. In that case, I might want to say dislike. This is a negative result. I looked where he should have been in this collection, but he wasn't there. And in the future, I don't want to repeat that search because the collection, a book of images won't change. And so I'm going to put dislike and not have to repeat this search in the future. So similarly, there is a place for writing an abstract. If you do find your record and you want to write out an abstract or summary, you could type that there. And there is a place for a citation, and there's a place for comments. So you can kind of annotate this however you want and make the log work for you. I'll zoom in here to one of these images, and I'm not looking at a Wilson, of course, but I'll just show you that I can make a screenshot of a portion of the page too. So I'll right click and choose take a screenshot, and you'll see that the cursor is crosshairs. So I can just draw a box around some portion of the page that I want to keep. And this will drop that piece of the image into my research log, and there I can see it. So this is great if I now go back to my tree and I want to transcribe something I found. I have it right here by my side. This is the kind of thing that maybe before I was printing out the record and then I could hold it in my hand and type up what I'm seeing. But instead of that, I can use this side-by-side view of the monitor or the windows to take advantage that way. And then if I'm just using this in my research log, I can just refer back to, oh yeah, that's the one image that I found that I was looking at before. You do have the option as well in the research log to search it. So you can click on the search box, and this will give you some additional options. I could, of course, just search by family search, show me everything that's from family search. But I can also choose, I want to see everything that I've liked before, or I want to see everything that I've disliked, or everything that has a screenshot. So this is a way to kind of filter down my log. And this gets really nice when your log gets to be really long because you kept it on automatic logging and you've logged 100 pages pretty easily. This will be your way to go back to that and see that. And last of all, in the research log, I want to show you that it can be exported. So you can export this file as a CSV, also TSV. These are two types of files that work really well with spreadsheets. So then if you were to go to your desktop and open up that file that you downloaded, for me, it will open up in Numbers, and for you, it might open up in Excel, but then you'll see the URL, the title, and the different pieces of the metadata that you've saved about that for your log. So you can slice and dice it in your spreadsheet of choice, however you want, and that's the research log. So those two tools are really intended to help you stay organized and focused in your research. And and do more with your time that way. So for me, if I'm not having to backtrack in what I find, if I'm able to remember quickly what I was working on, if I come back in a week or a month and I can easily pick back up my research, then the tool is helping me to keep moving forward. The last in that category of staying organized is a tool called Windows and Tabs. And if you come into here, you'll notice that we've saved about 10 tabs in the course of talking today. I can take a snapshot of those tabs and save them for later. So I can choose save, and then I could say, this is the Allen County Public Library talk that we're doing today, and here are all the pages that I've saved. And now if I were to close this window entirely, maybe because it's closing time at the library, or I'm at a friend's house and it's time to go home, or I'm just done for the day at my house, then I can come back later when I pick up my research and choose open all. And this will open up the window again back to the same position it was in before, and it will bring back all the tabs that I had open before. You'll notice that it just logged all the pages that are reopened, so you'll see that go by. But that's a way to get back to all of your tabs. I think of this as rabbit hole insurance, because you might go down a rabbit hole of research and you haven't even gone through each tab to figure out what it is and what should I do with this and what does it mean. If you don't want to lose your tabs before you've finished going through them, then that Windows and Tabs feature is the way to snapshot those windows and come back to them later. So those three things, the projects, research log, and Windows and Tabs, are the big tools for staying organized in your research. Okay, so I'll go on to the second category of features here, which is to analyze and understand your research. Here, the workhorse for me is a tool called the subway map. This is my take on the timeline tool. I'll go into it this way. This is going to show the places Leonard Wilson lived over time. So you'll see the places along this y-axis, and then the years along the x-axis, and the data points come from the family search tree. So because I put him into the project, then it's showing this line. And I can hover over each of these points and see what it is. And I can also hover over those place segments and link back to those same place resources that you saw before. And one thing I like the subway map for is to keep track of, or look for anomalies in the research or the data. Sometimes you'll see that the places kind of don't make sense. When you look at it this way, you'll see maybe that, here we have a little bit of a zigzag where he's in Polk County, Iowa, and then he's in Madison County, Iowa, and then he's back in Polk County, Iowa. So why did he move back? When I see a zigzag, down and then back up, I want to say, hey, what's going on there? Is there a reason that these two counties are close together, and so he was just kind of living on both sides of the county line, or are these counties far apart, and therefore I should be questioning, why was he moving? What's going on there? You might especially see this sometimes if you're looking across the Atlantic, where someone's in the United States and then they're back in England and back in the United States. Sometimes you'll see that zigzag across a far distance, and it might mean that you just have some bad research, or something's standardized wrong, or I've seen in my family just that some children are put into the wrong family, and therefore they kind of throw off the line. There's a setting here called childbirths. It's showing that, if I turn it off, I'm going to see just the data points from Leonard's life. But if I turn it on, I'm going to also see the births of his children. And this comes from the idea that James Tanner, who has a big genealogy blog, said that the first rule of genealogy is that when the baby was born, the mother was present. And maybe the corollary is that maybe the husband's not far away. And so when we turn on the childbirth option, we're saying that any child that's listed on the family search tree as being born at a certain time and place is going to appear in the subway map line for a parent, because they're necessarily part of the parent's life. And so you'll sometimes see that a child's born in England when the family's been living in the United States, and you'll instantly know, hey, okay, this isn't the right, this might be the wrong family for that particular child. It gets to be nice sometimes if you use this in an exploratory way. So if I go over to my fan chart and I just kind of hover over one of these names, you'll see that it draws the line for them. Let me turn this. We'll go back to no project, and I'm going to turn off the research log because it's still logging. Let's go back to subway map. Okay, so I'm going to hover over Thomas Reno Dotson, and it should shortly draw that line. Let's see if it will. Little bug here, it looks like, as of today. But the idea here is that you could come into an ancestor, there it goes, and draw the line for them, and then sort out, do I see anything that's an anomaly? Do I want to do any research on this person? And here you see that zigzag again, that she's living in Jefferson County, and then she's got 2 children, twins, born in Oswego, New York, and then she's back in Jefferson County. So are those close counties or not? I don't know. If I don't know, then I'm going to come down to this map the places option, and it will pull up a Google map of the places listed on that subway map. And then I might just remove the ones that don't apply. So I want to keep Livingston and Oswego. So I'm going to turn off these other ones. And we're keeping Livingston and Oswego. And then I can just say, okay, suppose I was walking between those 2 places. How far apart is that? That's 115 miles. So what's the reason that these twins were born 115 miles away? Maybe she went to visit her mother to have the children or something, and maybe there's some reason, but I would want to look into that. And that's the kind of thing that the subway map helps me see. Similarly, let's go back to our Leonard projects, subway map, and I can turn on hints here, and this will drop in these gold dots and bars. And here, the line's showing that he was born in Ontario, Canada, 1830. The next data point for him is age 20 in Illinois. But where was he for those 20 years? These gold dots may show where he was. So if I hover here, it will say, hey, there was an 1842 Upper Canada census. So if you can find him in there as a 12-year-old, then maybe you'll know that he stayed in Canada longer. Or alternatively, if you could find him or his family in the 1840 Illinois census as a 10-year-old, then maybe you'll know he came to Illinois sooner. And likewise, there is an 1835 and 45 Illinois census. So this is going to drop in just the various censuses of the United States, of Canada, of the UK, Wales, England and Wales, various other countries, and the state censuses, any data points that might help you figure out where someone was at that time. And if you just click the link, it will bring up a search for that person in that collection. So it's going to pre-fill the name and place where he was living, his birth year, and then you can start to browse. And you're not looking inside of all of Family Search. You're only looking inside of that one particular collection that you're in that place. So that helps you kind of narrow your search, so you're always making targeted searches, and you're more likely to find a match if you're looking in a targeted way. Similarly, these lines are newspaper hints. And so if I hover over these, you can see which newspapers ran at the time he lived in Polk County in this case. Or if I come down here, I can see what newspapers ran in Madison County. And if you've ever wondered which newspaper site should I use, if I'm going to subscribe for a month or a year, which newspaper site would be most helpful to my family, the subway map is one way to see that, because it's going to pull up the newspapers for Genealogy Bank, newspapers.com, Storied, some of Library of Congress, and just show you which newspaper site has more newspapers in the area your ancestors lived. And then maybe that's the subscription you sign up for. And then as you click any of those links, it's going to bring up the page. I would need to sign in with my subscription, and then I could start to browse the results to see if my person lived there. It's when I search for newspapers in small towns, it's very common to find matches, because the newspapers, didn't have the big news of the big cities. They had more of the news of the families and towns. And so you're more likely to find your family in these small town newspapers. So it's really fun to come across, some county that you didn't know about, and there's a newspaper that ran there. You run that search, and it's really fun to find those matches. So that's one way you can use the subway map, is to look for those newspapers and know which has the best coverage for your ancestor. Last of all, I want to show you the boundary changes. If you've ever used the Newberry Library Atlas of Historical County Boundary Changes, this is that data in context. So if you're looking at Putnam County, you can see what counties gained or lost to Putnam over that time, and see if that has a bearing on where your records are. If you're, I have an ancestor where she seems to have moved from one county to another, but she didn't really move. It was just that the county boundary changed, and now she's living in a new county even while she's in the same house. So sometimes those county boundary changes will affect what you're seeing there. So that is the subway map. I want to point out that at the bottom of every feature, there's a link to videos about that thing. So this is a list of 28 one-minute videos plus some longer videos all about the subway map, how it can help you. I didn't talk about how you can show multiple generations at the same time. You could show husband and wife next to each other, or with children, or multiple generations of a given paternal line or maternal line. You can compare someone on Family Search to the same person on Ancestry, so you can see the two trees side by side. So the subway map really does have a lot to offer you in terms of analysis of your research. And so you might want to check out that playlist. And that's true on every page. Back on the projects page, there's a playlist about projects. On the research log page, there's a playlist about the research log. So you might want to check out that YouTube videos there. The other kind of big analysis tool I want to show you is this Canvas. This is a tool to take the screenshots you've already been working with. And sorry, let me enter through this way. We'll go to this project in Canvas. This takes the screenshots you've already taken in your research log and drops them in a little surface where you can write on them and move them around. So I can move my screenshots around. I could grab a pen tool and then a color. And then maybe I want to just highlight that this Wilson over here is the same as this Wilson on this other record. And this is a way to sort out things that you might have done before with pen and paper, but instead do it in the context of the project you already have and the screenshots you've already taken, and sort things out that way. One technique I like is to think of these as swim lanes. So maybe I'm trying to sort out, of the various Leonard Wilsons I've found, which ones are the same person and which ones are different Leonard Wilsons that are part of a different family. So I might just grab a pen tool and say, I'm going to call this lane 1, and I have a lane 2 and I have a lane 3. And maybe I'm going to say that, time goes this way. And so maybe this is like 1850. And at the other end, I put 1900 or something like this, 1900. And then I'm going to just use this tool to sort out the records. So I might say this record looks like it really goes with family 1, and then maybe I have this other record down here that's 2, and so on. And this would be a way to sort out different families by visualizing them and grouping them. Another way you could use the Canvas is for pre-1850 research. So in the US, the pre-1850 censuses do not list the full families. They only list the heads of household. And so if you pull up a census record like this is Ransom Collins in the 1840 census. It lists that he has one 5 to 10-year-old, one 10 to 15-year-old, and one 30 to 40-year-old male living in his house. This is how you would often see the enslaved listed on a census. This would be, you would also see separate tally marks for the women of the household. So if you're trying to sort out if this is your family, one way to do that is, I've taken my purple pen and written the year of this census and the column headings, and then I use my green pen to calculate what should be the birth year of this first tally mark if it's 1840 and this person's 5 to 10 years old. Well, it would be 1830 to 1835 when they were born. So I use the green pen to calculate the birth ranges. And then I took a screenshot of the family search tree, and I'm using my red pen to line these up to say this tally mark must be the dad. These 2 tally marks must be the 2 oldest sons, because the years all line up. And so especially if I were working with a really common name, not Ransom Collins, but say Bill Collins, then maybe there's 4 Bill Collins living in that York County, South Carolina area at that time. And I'm going to put a screenshot of all of them here. And then I'm going to use these lines to line up, okay, which of these Bill Collins census records is my Bill Collins based on the years of his family. There should be a little bit of a fingerprint to the years and tally marks in the family. And so if you can kind of find the right fingerprint with this visual tool, then that's another way you could use this to sort out your pre-1850 research. So I'm sure there are many more ways to use the Canvas. This is a general purpose tool intended to be used for your thinking and your sorting out. But these are a couple of ways that you could use the Canvas. Now, the last theme I want to talk about with you today is the theme of navigating more quickly. So I've thought of this as organization, visualization, and navigation. Navigating, you've seen a little bit of that already, where I'm in the subway map. I was giving you ways to quickly jump over to the newspaper sites or quickly jump over to census records. That's a theme that kind of is throughout Goldie May. You also saw that with quickly jumping to a wiki page to learn about a given resource. Well, another place to do this kind of quick navigation is in the catalog. This is a beta feature, just a month or so old. You could come in here and type in New York, and this is going to bring in collections from various providers around the internet about New York. You could put in a year range if you'd like to filter it down, but then you can just kind of choose, I want to see everything from American ancestors about New York, or I want to see everything from the New York Genealogical and Biographical Society about New York. This will allow you to filter down and choose what you want to see, and filter by type too. So the idea here is that, of course, when you are buying a plane ticket to go to Roots Tech in Salt Lake City, and you probably don't go to delta.com and then separately to United and around to all the different airline sites, you probably go to something like Kayak, where you put in your from and your to and your dates, and let that do the work for you, finding the best matches. So this is a similar thing where I want to give you a place to put in your location you're searching, the year range, and then start to filter down who has the best resource for me if I were looking for, say just censuses in New York. Here's kind of what comes up for that particular search. So this is, I've done a lot of US and Canada, talking today, but you can type in other, other locations, and you'll find other places as well. So those are all kind of in there based on whatever collections are available at the various providers you see on this list. So that'd be your way to kind of navigate around quickly to those. I mentioned at the beginning that this magnifying glass is a quick search bar. It does a similar thing where you can type in New York and then a year range, and it's going to give you collections that match that time and place. But it also works for searching your ancestors. I showed you that, Leonard, and you can open up those. It also searches the project. So if I want to quickly jump back to a previous Goldie May project, it's right there. And then last of all, if I type in something like Thailand, where the major sites that I showed you don't have anything on Thailand, it brings up these kind of alternative searches where it says, hey, do you want to run the search Thailand on the Family Search Wiki, on the catalog, on Google, any of these search options. And in this case, Family Search Images is a really nice backup search or secondary search. Family Search Images has images that are being scanned by volunteers around the world, and sometimes they're really hot off the press. And so sometimes, even if Family Search doesn't have anything indexed or kind of in the official collections for a given place, they sometimes still have that images for that place. And in this case, Thailand does have various, Chinese clan records and so on. So you could go through these images and see if you find matches for your research that way. And so that's a great place to search. You could, of course, come into Family Search and go to search and images to find it that way as well. But I'm trying to give you one place where you could type in your location one time, Thailand, and then quickly go through and just find everything about Thailand across all the different sites. So that's the way to use that. Okay, my last kind of bonus feature for today that I wanted to mention is the DNA privacy mode. So this will help you if you teach about genetic genealogy. And I know that's not going to be everybody, but if you do presentations on DNA or otherwise teach, you could come into here and choose Enable Privacy Mode. And now you'll see the Ancestry page blur a little bit. I can open up Ancestry DNA. And normally I wouldn't do this on a presentation, right? Because it's going to show my cousins, and I don't want to reveal the identity of my cousins who are still living while we are live on a presentation. But Goldie May is going to blur out the faces. And then even if I come into something like this DNA match page, it's going to blur out names and faces so that I can scroll through here and we can talk about my father, my mother, my aunt, and how many shared centimorgans we have without revealing their identities to you. And so we can still have that conversation, and I can teach live about it, and it can be helpful to you as you're learning DNA, but we don't have to take screenshots and manually blur them out, and then you have to watch a slide deck of screenshots instead of seeing the real thing. So this is for genetic genealogists. I hope this really helps you to be able to teach more and teach better, because you can use the real thing while you're teaching. So that is the kind of last bonus feature of Goldie May. As far as kind of details around Goldie May, my email address is at the bottom of every page, richard@goldiemay.com. I would love to hear from you. I'd love your emails. And if you have any questions or comments, you can reach me there. I would also recommend to you the Goldie May YouTube channel. So if you come here, you can subscribe, and there are, of course, videos about all the different features. I mentioned the various playlists, but I also have a series of playlists called Unrehearsed Research. And this is where I sit down with a different researcher, sometimes by myself, and just record ourselves or myself doing genealogy. And so I've sat down with some great researchers who are far better than I am, and you can watch us do research together. They all have different styles, they all bring different strengths, and they're really good. Amy Harris talked about English research, and Catherine Grant did too, which is always hard because of all the common names. Nicole Elder Dyer is one of the mother-daughter duo of Family Lockett and the Research Like a Pro podcast, and she walked through her Research Like a Pro process in 3 videos. You see it from start to finish, and it's really good. So I can recommend these videos to you, even if you're not interested in the features per se. These aren't Goldie May heavy videos, but these are great videos. And then if you do want to see how the different features of Goldie May can help you do research and be more efficient, et cetera, that's where all these product videos come in. And you can dive further than we've talked about today and learn all about Goldie May. So the Goldie May YouTube channel, definitely want to subscribe to that as well. And then I'll mention to you that I mentioned that this is a free and paid thing. You could sign up today for free and try various features that are free. And if you decide that the paid features are helpful to you, you'll find the kind of subscription info on goldiemay.com as well. You can scroll down and see all the differences. There is a coupon code that will be live after this presentation for all of you. That's ACPL for Allen County Public Library. ACPL will give you 20% off for 1 year, whether you go month to month or the whole year at once. And that coupon code will be good for about a month, so I think June 25th. So if that's helpful to you, you can try it out there and try it for a month or get the year. And yeah, I think that's everything. So if I missed anything, I'll look forward to your questions now. And if you have a question later, then let's talk by email, and you can reach me at richard@goldiemay.com. So thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate it. And I'll look for your questions here now.
So we have a couple questions about Mac versus Windows, and can it be used just with Chrome, or can you use it with Safari as well?
Oh, great question. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. So it does require a computer. It will not work on an iPad or phone, but it could be a PC or Mac, and it does need to be a Chrome-based browser. So Chrome or Brave or Edge, or there's a few of them, Vivaldi, Arc, or Firefox, but not Safari. So I don't support Safari yet, maybe someday.
The next question is, somebody's wondering if you might have any printable guides on the website to be able to share.
I'm afraid I don't have a good printable option that goes over things in detail. Really, my videos are the best right now. There is a PDF associated with this, but it's short. It may not be what you're looking for. So videos are best for right now, I'm afraid.
So we have a couple of questions about the subway map. One is asking, will it pull information from sources on my ancestry tree?
Yeah, I should have showed that because that's important to see. But I'll pull up, so Leonard Wilson, here's my family search tree for him, and then I'll pull over his ancestry profile as well. And so you'll just see this, and we're still blurring. Let me go back and turn off our blurring. Privacy mode off. And we'll go into subway map. All right, so here you're looking at my ancestry version of this person. And yeah, it's very similar, right? You're kind of seeing the same line that we saw before. One thing that's nice about ancestry is everybody has their own tree, right? It's not just one shared tree like family search. So if I go into public member trees of this person, and I just open up the other Leonard Wilsons from other people's trees, and then open up in a tab, then I start to see multiple Leonard Wilsons from different trees. And it gets a little busy as you look at 4 trees at once. I could switch this from state by state mode instead of county by county. But look how you can compare the data. So you can see that 3 of the trees have him in Sharon, Upper Canada. 1 tree has him in just unknown Canada. And you can just go point by point and see what tree has data that I don't have. And maybe I'm going to go look at their sources and see if that's a good match for me and pull that over to my tree. But this is a really efficient way to look at multiple trees at the same time and see if you're if you have a good match. So this is so yes, it does work with Ancestry. You just need to browse to the particular page you want to see. If I go up to his father Hugh by just clicking on Hugh, then within a couple seconds you'll see Hugh pulled in there, and so on. So as you browse around your Ancestry trees, you're just going to see that appear in the subway map.
Somebody's asking, they're asking about the gold bars. So when you were on the map and it showed the various newspapers, if you could please bring that up again.
Yeah, okay. Let's pull up that. All right, here's our gold bars. Yeah, these are newspaper hints. And if it looks a little confusing why they're drawn where they are, this is a period right here where we know he had a child born in Adair County, Iowa, 1871. And then this is 1874, 3 years later. And so the newspaper hint's going to extend back 3 years because he might have been in Polk County, Iowa, as early as 3 years before the data we know about. And it's going to extend beyond what we know about to as late as he might be in that county. So the newspaper hints kind of extend before and after the period we know about. And likewise, you see that here, like this line extends backward as early as he might have been in Polk County that second time, and then as late as he might still be there. And so then within the line, you're going to see all of the newspaper titles that ran in that county at that time. And so you'll see the Des Moines Capital, Daily Iowa, etc. All of these titles overlap with that time and place. If they don't align with the time, then you won't see them in this list. So if they only ran much earlier, then they won't be on the list. These are only going to be titles that align. And you'll also see the page count. So this means that newspapers.com has 564,000 pages for the Des Moines Tribune, whereas Storied has about a tenth of that. And so I might really want to focus on newspapers.com because that's a really high valuable search for Des Moines Tribune, searching for Leonard Wilson. So that's going to bring up that search. It's going to pre-fill his name. And sometimes in the small counties especially, we find immediate results. And you still might need to tweak the settings and say, I'm going to look with quotes, or I'm going to look for middle initial or first initial, etc. So you can tweak all the searches yourself, but that will kind of give you a starting point to be looking at a much smaller haystack for your needle instead of looking in the broad haystack of all of newspapers.com or all of Storied. And so that's where you can kind of target in on what you're looking for.
Someone is asking, when you're searching in the catalog, will it still bring up all of the resources for you in that catalog, even if you aren't paying for that particular subscription?
Yeah, it will. Yeah. So it's going to show you everything, and it won't know if you have a subscription to it or not. So it will just assume that, hey, if you do have a subscription and you want to click over, then we'll give you the link to click over, and then it will be up to you and that provider to decide, do I have access to this? So, maybe you don't have a subscription to that particular provider, but at your local library, at the Allen County Public Library, maybe they have that one available in the library. So as you're using Goldie May inside the library and opening those links, they might open up right to, you're seeing those right away. So it'll kind of depend on what subscriptions you have and where you are to see those results.
If there are two researchers in the same home, how might pricing work?
It is shareable inside your house. So if you sign up for a subscription, then have your spouse or other person in the household sign up for a free account and then email me, and I'll connect your accounts so that it's all tied together.
Someone is asking, will the blurring also work on Ancestry if I connect to a matches tree?
Let's see. I think I guess I won't go here right now, but I think there is some blurring on the tree if I remember correctly, and I'm going to say yes to that.
Okay.
That's my memory of that. I could check it after. You could email me and I can check that offline.
Good deal. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, thank you again for presenting, and thank you everybody for attending. And again, for a copy of the chat or any questions, please email us at genealogy@acpl.info.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you, Kate.
thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.